Welcome to Ticker Launch. I'm Laura DeQuino, I'm your host, and I'm sitting down with James Spenceley, who is the founder of Vocus Communications, chairman of Airtasker, and he does a lot more than that. Tell me a little bit about your experience, James, in business. I understand it's been quite a wild ride from founding Vocus in 2007 to where you're at today.
Yeah, certainly. Vocus was an incredible journey. I mean, we founded Vocus in 2007, listed it on the stock market in 2010, and then grew the business to where it is today, which is 1.8 billion in revenues and 300 or 400 million in profits and 1,600 staff. So, that was a lot of learnings along the way. Just saying, going from 0 to 40 staff is an incredible journey. 40 to 140. And then 300 and 400 and above is amazing. But nowadays doing venture capital investing, Airtasker is one of the better investments we've made. Making sure that we see as many businesses as possible, and generally just keeping on tabs on what's the next big thing.
Yes, the next big thing. I know that you're quite focused on megatrends and what's happening with the next generation, whether that's Generation Y or Generation Z. I don't know if you've identified a difference between the two yet, because Generation Z is quite young.
Yeah.
So what are you focused on? Are you looking at certain megatrends when you do invest in startups and businesses in general?
Yeah, I kind of look for businesses where I think that they're going to be not necessarily household names, but you're going to use that style of product, in our lives in 10 years' time. I kind of call it the back to the future. When they travelled into the past and then into the future, and they could see what the world looks like. So I kind of think, well, what's going to change in my life, and how am I going to use a product in 10 years' time? Am I still going to go to the supermarket at Woolworths, and am I still going to do the checkout myself, and all of these things that are slowly changing. And then I think you bring into it this really large generational shift. You've got boomers who are very different people to millennials or Generation Y, Generation Z. There's different cultures there's different ways that they spend their money. I think too, people today, younger people, care more about the organisation they work for necessarily than their pay packet or what comes along with the job. The
financials aren't maybe as important as they used to be.
Yeah, exactly right. So how does that then affect businesses? Who can benefit from that? Who loses from that? I'm definitely a mega trend investor. I'm looking for something that can go exponential. That really, you don't have to explain to me over an hour what the company does. I get it immediately. I'll use it in my life, and that's how I came across Airtasker.
Yeah, so you're playing into the convenience economy with Airtasker.
Yep.
You're also playing into like the sustainable economy, I guess, with investments like Spaceship, Super, and others. How important is sustainability in your investment process? Like, is that baked into your investment process as well?
Yeah, I think one of the luxuries of being in the position I am is I can pick and choose. I don't have to report my own to a committee or something like that. So I tend to stay away from investments that probably do negative. Gambling, tobacco.
You did sell out of, or you stepped down from your role in a casino company in Asia last year.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I just no longer really feel that comfortable kind of in that space. I think as you have realizations as you get older, you want to do a bit better. Things that I think do positive good is Airtasker. Airtasker is, our motto is to help people maximise the value of their skills. So our goal is to actually get people earning money, provide a safety net. If they lose their job, they can actually go and earn money and pay the rent along the way. I see that as doing really positive things out in the community. Whereas something like an Uber, their job is to drive the margin down for the driver, and eventually replace the driver with this autonomous car and keep all the money themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that social ethics is becoming more important to me.
So running a business and investing in these businesses, it requires a different kind of skill set, doesn't it? So you may have to put on your big picture vision hat when you're doing one thing, and then be very details focused when you're doing another. What do you think is your strength though? From what I can tell, you're good at both, but what's your natural strength? What are you best at?
I think it's probably culture and leadership. I'm actually pretty good at getting people to believe and get behind an idea that makes sense. I can't do it if it doesn't make sense. So at Vocus, that was great. I was a terrible manager, but I think I was a great leader. Doing things like HR reviews for my team. If you went and asked any of them now, they'd be, they'd probably complain that they never had one. But actually getting people motivated for a cause and to do something, Vocus, our cause was the most loved telco in the industry. That I can get people behind. On the investing side, I think I'm particularly good at finding things that that will be in our day-to-day lives, into the future, and are great, products to change and improve the quality of people's lives. Probably not as good as building the models as a number of people I know, doing the Excel work and the 40 megabyte spreadsheets. But that's something that I can outsource. So I think with anything, you learn to play to your strengths and also really understand what your weaknesses are. And investing, I've learned, is probably the most important thing, is to understand your biases, your weaknesses, how you get emotional when something's not going right, and really understand your emotive decisions.
And is it also a matter of not getting too attached or falling in love with your investment decisions? Because I've noticed as well that you're someone who has gone on the record to say that you don't just buy and hold. Like, that doesn't really work anymore. Like, you kind of need to trade out of positions or sell down little bits here and there.
Yeah, I think so. There's so much volatility in the markets nowadays. You've got things trading on 100 times earnings. You've got stuff trading on 100 times revenues. It doesn't take a small change in overall macro sentiment for those stocks to halve or quarter or even go worse. But equally, they can double and triple. So I think you have to be very aware of the macro sentiment, because that's what drives a lot of share price growth at the moment. And my horizon on listed investments is 6 to 12 to 18 months. I think if I'm looking at longer term investments, then you're needing structural change. And it doesn't mean that investing in that space is wrong. I do a lot of that. Airtasker is a great example of that. But I think current volatility in current markets, you really want to be focused on a shorter term time frame and trade around your positions.
You did generate good returns through your small cap fund, which I know was wound up last year or the year before.
Yep.
But it's a really hard game at the moment, isn't it, to actually drum up business at the small end of the market?
Yeah, I think it's difficult because people don't want volatility, and the market where you've got really high PEs and growth stocks have been absolutely ripping for a number of years. It's really hard to buy stuff that's on 100 times revenue or something with $1 billion market cap that makes $10 or $20 million. At some point there'll be a re-rate. Do you want to be in that? And if you're benchmarked against an index, you have to be in it. You have to be in it, or the index runs and you underperform.
So growth is kind of trumping value in the investor mind, I guess.
Still, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's cyclical. That will always change. The difference is this time the growth kind of mantra has gone on for a particularly long time, so that it kept going up, so the multiples have expanded pretty significantly.
Would you recommend to your businesses to list publicly, like businesses that you're invested in that are at that mature stage, that that they're looking quite good on the balance sheet?
Yep.
Are you kind of telling them, cautioning now where maybe public markets are...
Well, now's a good time, right, in a lot of ways, if
yeah.
you're a growth business. Last year had a fair bit to do with listing Unity Wireless, which has done well, and also MoneyMe, which listed in December. And they were perfect businesses, growth businesses. I think now is a great time to list, but you also have to have a reason to list. A lot of people come to me and say, should I exit or should I IPO? And there's no answer to that question. The question is well, what's right for the business? Do you need to raise capital continually to be able to grow? And can you grow to the point where you impress the market significantly that you get really good valuations? Well, then listing is a great example of that. If you're tired at the end of your journey and you just want to break, then IPOing is definitely not the answer. It's the start of a whole new journey.
Yeah, it's not the end of the journey.
Exactly right. People go, it's an exit. No, it's a golden handcuff.
Yeah. So what's next for you? I know you're not at the end of your journey just yet. There's a lot in the pipeline. Are you looking to grow other people's businesses, or are you looking to do something new down the track?
Definitely looking to do something new. I mean, I've got a pretty big investment portfolio in sort of the venture space. Slowly running that down. Pretty actively involved in Airtasker still. I think that fills up much of my week, most weeks, and love that business. It's incredible. But I really enjoy being with founders who have energy. I don't think I could found another business again. I've got small kids and I've been through 12 years at Vocus, working my guts out. So
it's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime. It really was. But what I really enjoy is helping other people not make the same mistakes I made, and maybe just benefiting from some of those lessons I learned along the journey.
And I guess for those watching at home, I know with Airtasker, you actually came across the business, you used the services, and then within 2 months, you were the chairman.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's interesting to hear in itself. And I know you see a lot of businesses every week. You were at Pause Fest this morning, of course, delivering the keynote. So I guess for businesses out there that are looking for investment, they should know that people are open for business. That
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think now there's never really been a better time than now to be seeking, early stage, mid stage kind of investment. There's a lot of funds have started up. There's a real infrastructure around venture investing which didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. So I think there's a lot of money slushing around. There's a lot of people looking for the next big idea. That has some positives and negatives, but if you're looking to raise money, it's actually not a bad time in the private space.
Yeah, it's a good time to launch. Yeah. Thank you so much, James, for the chat, and we'll have you in the future as well.
Look forward to it.